His groundbreaking style of fishing with the spin reel mounted atop the rod catapulted him to legendary status.
I fish my own way. Thank you.
Real Rebel had a persona. He had style. He had panache. He had something that nobody else had. And his shows were special and fun to watch.
Yet the road to fame was anything but smooth. Along the way, he battled the harsh scorn and ridicule for his unorthodox methods dating back to his childhood.
When you're a little boy and you don't fit in with the other boys, it's real rough. They don't want to fish with you. They think there's something odd about you.
He had to struggle with so much criticism about his fishing technique that it affected him. The Real Rebel carried an inner turmoil, conflict within himself.
Everybody just kept pushing against him and not accepting the wisdom of what he was showing, and I think it just took a toll. It would take a toll on anybody.
Through sheer determination, he triumphed over these psychological hurdles, cultivating a fierce confidence in his unique approach.
And when you start fishing with the reel on top, with tackle you made yourself, then you are ready to come out here on the jetty and do a little bit of hard rock fishing.
As his fame soared to unimaginable heights, so did the arrogance and self-righteousness that came with it.
I don't care how many times the fishing establishment keeps telling me that I'm fishing it wrong, because I'll continue to keep on coming out here and fishing my own way with the fishing reel on top.
My staff started complaining about the Real Rebel.
I've seen this happen over and over again, all right? When the talent becomes a celebrity, they think it's all them. No, it's not, dude. It was the team behind you, man.
We were back filming, and he was demonstrating how he casts, and this guy comes walking by, this other fisherman.
Of course, was wearing waders as he walked by, and he looked over at the Real Rebel and he laughed and he says, "You're fishing the reel the wrong way with it on top."
That triggered the Real Rebel. He snapped.
Yeah, well, you know what? Go home and tune into your local cable network and watch the Real Rebel show, and you'll learn a few things. I have scientifically proved that fishing with the reel on the top is a better way than fishing the way you fish with the reel on the bottom, man. Well, at least I don't have to wear waders when I go fishing. Oh, it's cold. I can't stand the cold water. Oh, man.
Then the Real Rebel looked at me and he said, "Steve-O, we're changing this up. We're not doing the script that you wrote. I'm gonna take it about how I don't wear waders."
Well, watch this, man!
Well, when Real Rebel sat down in that cold water, he stood up for our right to fish the right way, the Real Rebel way. And he made that sacrifice for us.
He stayed in the river as dusk fell, the temperature dropped. He was separating his image of himself from his real self.
I know that river was cold without waders, but he stayed in it all night long for us, for his fans.
But that night was a special night. That was the night that the fish, the water, the environment, the air transformed Real Rebel to a human being.
Most people believe that he cracked up, lost his mind. But I believe that when he was sitting in that cold water, he reached nirvana and he became one with the fish.
Oh, what have I done? Oh no, I've been teaching people how to catch them in an easier way by fishing with a reel on the top. What have I done? I hereby renounce fishing! trout's fishing! Celebrating a new year by steelhead fishing on the magnificent Mad River here near Blue Lake in Humboldt County, California.
I personally was the one who discovered the Real Rebel. So I was, turning the channels, local TV. And as I was turning the channels, I saw this guy doing a fishing show. And I go, wow, this is interesting. He's kind of unique. So I kept watching, I was reading all the comments, and people were saying all these awful things, like they were complaining about how he was fishing with the reel on top and that he was doing it wrong, that he makes his own fishing tackle. And then their thing, they said he doesn't use waders. He's not a real fisherman. So I decided, man, this poor guy being bullied and everything. So after that, I invited the Real Rebel into the Timberlane studio, and we had a meeting with him. And then we set him up with his own fishing show series.
So my brother Jake, he asked me to be the series producer for The Real Rebel. This fellow who fishes with his reel on top. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot.
When I fish, I found that every little second counts. And the faster I could react to tangles in the spools, loosen up the drag, if I see it visually, I could respond quickly. When I tried it on the bottom, it's like, oh, there's a pole in the way, it's out of view, and I don't have that quick response time. Now also, when the fishing reel is on top, that means all these eyelets are also along the top. That when I have a wild thrashing fish at the end of the line, that all that force is being more evenly distributed along the length of the fishing pole. Now, when the reel is on the bottom, all that force is just directly on that one little tiny eyelet at the very tip of the pole.
So on the first day of filming, this guy showed up. He was supposed to be the Real Rebel, but I turned to Jake and I said, Jake, I don't see it. This guy, he's mild-mannered. He seems like a nice guy. I just don't see the Rebel at all. I don't see where this is gonna go anywhere.
So when Steve-O brought me in that first test footage, man, I saw it and I go, hey, Steve-O, dude, this is not gonna work, man. This guy is no rebel, man. I mean, sure, he seemed like a real nice guy, personable and all that, but he's no rebel. Your show's not gonna work, man. You need somebody else in there. But Jake said on somehow creating this guy into some kind of a rebel. So I said, all right, dude, man, go ahead, go out there and film your first episode, man. I'll see what I can do with it.
Well, the Real Rebel, he had an idyllic childhood, growing up in the wilds of the Pacific Northwest. So we at Timberlane Films met the Real Rebel at one of his favorite fishing holes, so we can learn a little bit more about how he got his start fishing with the reel on top.
All right, Steve-O, fire away with your questions.
How did you figure out the reel on top technique, man?
Well, it wasn't like I just woke up one morning and decided I was gonna fish.
We started filming, and this guy, he told this long-winded, boring story.
Yeah, I grew up in a real fishing kind of a family. My grandparents fished, my dad fished, my sisters, my brother, we all fish.
I looked at Jake and I said, Jake, I just don't see any rebellion in this guy at all.
Because I'd go out fishing with all the other boys, and they they ridiculed me for the way I fish with the reel on top. They were all fishing with the reel on bottom. I tried to tell them, but they...
So we were filming and we were getting close to wrapping it up when this guy, he broke down.
He was bullied as a kid in the way he fished. And those emotions are still affecting him.
When you're a little boy and you don't fit in with the other boys, it's real rough. They don't want they don't want to fish with you. They think there's something odd about you.
The other fishermen, they bully him for fishing with the reel on top. You could see this guy was crushed. Tears streaming down his face.
Steve-O, I'm gonna need a few minutes, all right, Steve-O?
Not long ago you got hurt, someone did you wrong. I can see it in your eyes, it's like your fire is gone. Across your face, it is written across your face. Just hold on a bit more, 'cause I know you only see the rain, not the rainbow. Deep down I know you're strong. Give them hell, baby, prove them wrong. Just hold on a bit more, 'cause I know you only see the rain, not the rainbow. I know you'll get up again. Better stand up tall, I know you can be brave, brave, brave.
He's gone off, he's crying. I've got the whole filming crew waiting.
He walked off the set and came back about 45 minutes later.
This guy walks back in, he sits down, and he says, Steve-O, I've got something to tell you. Roll the cameras.
All right, by God, Steve-O, let's roll that camera. I'm not done with my story yet. So one day I got back from fishing with my buddies when I was a little boy, and I said to my dad, the other boys, they bully me and hassle me for fishing with the reel on top, but Dad, I know it's the best way to fish. I know it's easier to use it that way. So my dad, he sat me down and said real calmly, he says, son, you're gonna find in life that a lot of folks are trying to tell you how to do things their way. What you gotta do is you gotta go out there and find how to do things your own way. And in doing so, you might discover that you're doing it one way and they're all doing it differently. Maybe you're the one that's doing it right and they're all doing it wrong. So son, you get out there with your buddies and you fish with that reel on top. And when you go fishing, you hold that reel up high and you fish with the reel on top.
And right at that moment, I saw what Jake saw. I saw the rebel in this guy emerge.
Fishing with the reel on top was a hard and lonely road. But the real rebel, he knew it was an easier way to fish, and he refused to back down. And that real rebel, he just kept right on fishing with the reel on top. He fishes his own way. He's a maverick. He fishes with the reel on top.
That's what I wanted. I wanted to show that if you're gonna fish, do it your own way. Don't be influenced by others that do it their way. You know, do it your way, your own genuine way how to fish. And that's what the main message, I think, was for the Real Rebel.
But as Real Rebel's fame surged, so did the controversy surrounding his audacious technique of positioning the reel atop the rod. What began as a simple challenge to convention soon erupted into a fierce, all-consuming battle, a war between the unyielding fishing establishment and the trailblazing real rebel, each side locked in a struggle for the future of fishing itself.
A lot of you folks are fans of the Real Rebel because he's quite an enlightening gentleman, but he says so many things that are incorrect and wrong that we have to correct it so that you can go out and do the activity right and have fun with it. He's just wrong, totally wrong in his approach to fishing.
This whole nonsense about their Real Rebel is wrong. They've just got their heads up their butt. They're all about maintaining their power, their righteousness. And so they have to dump on Real Rebel and put him down just to make themselves look better. No way.
And they said that we don't have a legit fisherman on the show.
They were incensed that we were giving out misinformation about how to fish with the reel on top.
I'm standing strong with my support for the Real Rebel because he is revolutionary.
I told my brother Jake, I said, you know, we need to validate this guy. We need to hire a scientist to study him and give him some credence.
Then we simulated a 6 to 8 pound fish being caught at the end of the line. And then we measured the tension on the pole at these various points A, B, C, and D. So we ran this test and we found, surprisingly enough, that when the reel is on the top of the pole, the tension is evenly distributed along the length of the pole. We have a working hypothesis that with the reel on top, the eyelets and the line all on top of the pole. And because the fishing line is on top of the pole, it distributes the tension evenly along the length of the pole. So when we ran the experiment with the reel at the bottom of the pole, we discovered that 98% of the tension is contained within this small eyelet at the very end of the pole. The other 2% is just held along these eyelets along the length of the pole. So, as a scientist, I must conclude that these fishing poles with the reels are designed to have the reels and the eyelets on top of the poles. We discovered that response time is 50% faster when the reel is on top of the pole than below. The reason why is that when the reel is at the bottom of the pole, it's much more difficult to access. After many days of experimentation in the laboratory and out in the field, much to our surprise, experimentation did validate what the Real Rebel was telling us and what he believed. Top or bottom makes a huge difference, and on top is vastly superior.
I took the scientist study and I put it on my cell phone. I wanted to show it to the Real Rebel to get his reaction that he had been validated.
More success, more control, enjoyment, access, and satisfaction rather than below it. Humans have fished for thousands of years. Now we have reached the apex of this experience.
Real, do you have any comments on that science study we did, dude?
Well, guess what? Former friends and others who felt compelled to tell me not to fish with a reel on the top, your day of reckoning is here, because I have been vindicated. And you can no longer live in your delusions of superiority over me. And that's because scientific proof has now shown that the more effective way, the more efficient way, the easier way to fish is with the reel on top.
Right on, real rebel, right on, man. You were right all along, dude.
That for the first time in his life, he had been vindicated. You know, he had been criticized so long by other fishermen that this scientific study, it showed him that he was right, and I could just see a change in the real rebel. The joy was emanating and glowing from him. It was a spectacle to behold.
That's the day I'm having right now. I pinch my arm to believe. I wish I could stay right here and never.
Hey everyone! I do my fishing with the reel on top!
And then when the science study came out, everything changed. They had to acknowledge that he had found something that really works. And nobody could say it wasn't real anymore. And I think it just freed him. It opened up his heart and his mind and released him from all of the past. It was a life-changing moment. That science study was life-changing.
It was really good to see this real dude finally step into the role that Jake and Steve-O had seen in him, that he was this rebellious sort of fellow who was gonna fish his own way, even though everybody's been telling him to fish a different way. And I was starting to see the real promise in this Real Rebel series, and I was really honestly having a great time editing it.
The man who refuses to back down and continues to fish his own way with the fishing reel on top. The Real Rebel. He's a maverick.
I've been fishing with the spin reel on top my whole life, man. Even though everyone tells me I'm supposed to fish with it on the bottom. Yeah, right. I'm gonna make it harder for myself to fish where every time I get tangled up, I gotta reach down underneath the pole and adjust the drag and the bail all below when it's so much easier on the top, just so I can fit in with everyone else. Whatever, dude.
After the science study validated the Real Rebel, I saw a big change in him. He knew he was right. He'd been proven right, and it changed his outlook on everything. It was a beautiful thing to see. He evolved into this sort of rock fishing star celebrity. It was amazing to watch.
I would play a lot of rock music in between takes, and I think that influenced this guy in a way. He was starting to act like he was some kind of a rock star.
He's the man who's rocked the world of fishing. By fishing his own way with the fishing reel on top. And now, here he is, the Real Rebel!
Real Rebel had become a true celebrity.
The show was a huge hit. It was being shown on cable TV, all kinds of venues.
And the Real Rebel fan club went soaring. We had so many people who were interested in joining, we had to put on a waiting list. It was exciting times.
Welcome to the Real Rebel Show. I'm the Real Rebel. And let's hear it, everybody. And I fish.
fish with the reel on top. Okay, you gotta get on with the show here, everybody. Wow.
We love you.
Oh, the love goes both ways. I gotta tell you, there's one group of people that I don't have a lot of love for. It's all those other fishermen who fish with the reel on the bottom. Tell me I'm not supposed to fish with the reel on top. But you see, that's what the Real Rebel show is all about. We're trying to show those other fishermen who fish the conventional way, to just have a little more compassion and understanding for those of us who fish our own way with the fishing reel on top.
The Real Rebel has been a real inspiration to me and all the members of our fan club, because we've been fishing with the reel on the top like he taught us, and we've been enduring all this criticism and being made fun of and everything. And so when he became a rock star, a rock fishing star, it validated us too.
We don't need fishing waders. The water's not that cold for us. We like to stay in touch with the river, the flow of the water. I usually wear shorts when I go out. I don't need fishing waders. A lot of us don't. And we don't want to be criticized for it. And the other thing is, we make all our own tackle from gear we find around the house. Bottle caps, beer cans, plastic bottles, and duct tape and wire. Just let us fish the way we want to fish. Sure, it doesn't comport with your way of fishing, the way you were brought up, other fishermen, but it is our way. We just ask the other fishermen, fish and let fish. All right, let's do it. And I do my fishing with the reel on top.
Once you accept that you're going to fish with the reel on top and be a rebel yourself, it opens up the world. You start to look at the world in new ways. It opens up your mind. So it's just the beginning for us of a whole new way of looking at life.
My staff started complaining about the Real Rebel. They felt that it kind of went to the Real Rebel's head, all this fame.
So roll the clips with the soundtrack I gave you. That's how we're going to end this episode of The Real Rebel.
Turn tell me how to edit. I mean, come on, dude. I'm an award-winning editor, all right? I don't need some amateur community TV shows coming here and telling me how to edit, dude. He was getting an ego, man, and it was starting to show up everywhere.
You know, Steve-O, since you don't understand that I'm the Real Rebel and this is the Real Rebel show, you're fired.
He fires me, which he can't do because we're all working for Jake.
He can't fire Steve-O because I'm the executive producer of Timberland Films. Only I could do the hiring and firing.
It was not his fault. Everybody just kept pushing against him and not accepting the wisdom of what he was showing. And I think it just took a toll. It would take a toll on anybody.
Okay, I've been watching the Real Rebel program. He's just wrong, totally wrong in his approach to fishing.
It burns me up. It just burns me up. Can't they just fish and leave me alone? Why do they have to keep telling me how to fish?
He had a shell which he hardened and calcified into a more resistant outer shell to protect his inner self. It's not what we expected. We expected just the opposite, that he would release some of this burden and become a more actualized, fully actualized person on this planet.
I don't think Real Rebel has ever really caught a fish, if you want to be honest.
And we announce fishing!
What really did him in was the fishing establishment, because they kept putting him down. They kept grinding away at him. If they had just given him a chance, if they just let him alone and stopped hounding him, he would still be with us today. It's their fault.
It's more than meets the eye, you see. You're not what you appear to be. They don't know you like I do. No one knows but me. No one unfolding what's meant to be. I am all you need. There's more than meets the eye, you see. You're not what you appear to be. They don't know you like I do. No one knows but me. It's more than meets the eye, you see. You're not what you appear to be. They don't know you like I do. No one knows but me. No one knows but me. No one knows but me.
Hi, I'm Edna Frobish, and I am the president of the Real Rebel Fan Club, except no substitutes.